Okay, can I stop recording? Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Reverend Tammy Patzer, and this is the very first official expert profiles conversations with influencers and innovators. And today's guest is Heshie Segal. And I'm really excited about Heshie because I have had the privilege of actually meeting Heshie and forming a real friendship with her. And so it's just wonderful that she's going to be the very first guest on Expert Profiles. And we are live right now on Facebook on my profile, as well as in live in the Hive, Be Connected. So that is the beauty of being a member of Be Connected, is that I actually can have this live show and be in the Be Connected community, and also out on Facebook, where I have a lot of people who actually follow me on a regular basis. So let me tell you a little bit about Heshie before we get started. And just to let you know, the goal for Expert Profiles conversations with influencers and innovators is that it will be a 30-minute program. So we're going to cover a lot of information very rapidly, but I really want you to get a picture of who Heshie is. So one of the things about Heshie is she is one of the very first qualified founding affiliates for Be Connected, which is a brand new social media platform. She is the founder of Kids Better World, and that's really important because it really shows Heshie's heart, but she's also the founder and creator of the Jet Netting Connection, which goes perfectly with Be Connected and Heshie Connects on Be Connected. So her entire life is all about connecting. And today we're going to focus on the likability factor. So I'm going to go ahead and let Heshie tell us a little bit more. And let's just start out with the basics, Heshie. I would really like to know, what does likability mean today?
You know, most people will think, oh, someone is likable if they smile a lot, or if they make eye contact, or they have a great handshake, which right now isn't so easy if we're not always in person. But and your body language and how you appear to people and your openness and all that is really important. But I want to tell you that I think one of the most important things about likability is your realness, who you are, your authenticity, who you are at home and who you are at work, who you are in the community, all need to be the same, because if they're not the same, you can slip up. I remember having a conversation with someone who was at work, and she was she was one person. And then we were out someplace and she was at a nightclub and she was absolutely drunk. And she said things that no one at work would ever think. And she lost her job. So it's just a little thing, these little teeny stories that, and they don't have to take long, that tell you what it's like. I sometimes you can't put your finger on it. I met someone by the name of Jacqueline who I immediately took to. We've never met in person. We're on a Zoom call, and we're on this Robert Allen, who we both work with, and I just liked her right away. And I wanted to be an accountability partner with her. It was her demeanor, the expression on her face, the ability to really listen to everybody. There's so much to it, but that part and being vulnerable, those are all things that make people likable. Just just be like everyone else.
So most of us, one of the things that I think most of us have is we have probably imposter syndrome or something. And I'm always curious about how do I, as a person or anyone listening, how do we know if we're sending out who we really are? How do we know if we are likable?
You know, I think that's a good question. One of the ways to do this is to actually ask people. You know, on Facebook, you see these things about like, what do you think of me? Use 3 words to describe me. Well, that really does work. And you will come up with things that you never thought would be like you. And then you also can say, if you were going to change just one thing, what might that be? Because we can all use improvement. And when we can be vulnerable to allow that in, then it gives us an extra added quality of relatability. I remember sitting on a sofa after my ex and I split, and 3 of us were there with the same name, which was different than the name I have now. And the 2 of them looked at me and said, "Oh my gosh, you're so likable." And I looked at them and I said, what do you mean? And they said, you know, you're really nice. You're friendly. You're kind. You're outgoing. And I go, what did I do before? And it was like, well, you were kind of cold and standoffish, and you were always dressed to the T, and you always had an answer for everything. And you were just like, you kept to yourself. What I learned in that instant was it was because of my ex-husband. When I was with him, I didn't like him. And so I became this person who just, I wanted to crawl into a space. So sometimes we need to really look beyond the person and say, is there something else going on? Because we never know if someone's had a bad day. I mean, you know, if they constantly have a bad life, that might be a clue. But you know, we really need to look underneath and not be judgmental, because those of us who are judgmental, and you know, we've all done that at one time or another, we're going to be judged ourselves. And who wants that? So I always say, give people the benefit of the doubt and go from there.
I can relate to everything you're saying, because when I was a newspaper editor, I was the managing editor, and I had a lot of people that I had to keep at arm's length because I was their boss. I couldn't be their best friend, you know, and just like you said, I couldn't go out to the party and get drunk and become somebody I wasn't at work, because I had a lot of responsibility, but I also had children at home. So I had to rush home, and I couldn't take time to develop relationships outside of work because I had to go home. So I had a lot of people who didn't like me because of whatever, because they really didn't know me. So I can really relate to that. So what did
could I just go back to one thing? I remember when you and I first met, and we sat together, and I think I said to you that I knew we were going to have a relationship because I really liked you. I liked who you were. You were one of the featured speakers, and I looked and I went, boy, this person is really real. And I just knew. So sometimes you've got to be able to trust your gut. Okay, didn't mean to interrupt, but I just had to say that because you are so real.
Yeah, that's for sure. but sometimes, you know, it's like the Velveteen Rabbit story. It's, you know, that it's all becomes all worn out and everything because it was love. But that is like being real can be very painful when you are vulnerable and you let it all out. So if you had some tips, because I really want people to get value from our conversation, how can people become likable?
I think at the top of the list, as I said earlier, is being being real. don't say something if you don't know the answer to it. Don't say you do. Don't make something up. Being likable is give people a compliment, but only if you actually mean it. If you don't mean it, then don't say it. Boost people's ego. We all like to be recognized. So if you know someone has done something wonderful, then tell them, I do something, and this is something everybody can use because this is really cool. I might call you and I'd say, hey, Tammy, congratulations. And you would say, like what? I said, oh, you know, congratulations. And what did you do that I would say congratulations for? And I'd run down this whole list. And finally, when it means absolutely nothing, it's that's it. What you've done in the meantime is you've gone through all these successes that you've had, and you feel so good. And I was the one that made you feel good. So it was a trick I learned a long time ago, but it's not really a trick. It's a way to relate to people. Find out what other people like. Comment on it. Help them. If they're sick and you're local, make them a meal or put out the word. Comment on what people do. Connect people. Let them know what other people do, and put yourself in the middle. When I send out an email and I want to connect people, I will say, so Tammy, I'd like you to meet Joni. And then I would tell Joni who you are, and I would tell you who Joni is, and you would connect. So I've become the person in the middle, and you're going to think, wow, that person has something. I mean, she's just connecting me to people. So you praise, but you praise with a genuine quality. There's a ton more, but you probably have more questions.
Oh, that's really good advice, because I think the secret, and you just said it, it has to all be real and genuine, because people, I mean, I have a really good BS meter. And if somebody isn't being genuine with me, I might not know what it is, but there's just, like you said, it's that intuition, and you're kind of like, that person is off, or something's off with that. And it's funny because the word connection, I noticed that that is part of your everyday vocabulary, and it's been part of your vocabulary with me since the day we met. And I do remember that because I'm a little bit, let's just say, guarded. And you're like all excited about meeting me and telling me about our future together. And I'm like, okay, you know, but everything that you said about our relationship actually has come true. We have gotten closer, and everything we've talked about doing, maybe it didn't exactly work in the way that we thought it might back then, but over time, our relationship has gotten stronger and deeper, and I can really see how that connection was made on that very first day, more so because of who you are, because you recognize something in me. And I think that that's really important, is when you recognize something about someone and you tell them, you might be opening doors for them that they didn't even know existed. I know that one of the qualities that you have, Heshie, is that you have the ability to make people feel comfortable. Tell me a little bit, how do you have this ability to make people just open up to you?
I think anyone who knows me knows very quickly that my heart is like, it's like out there. I wear it on my sleeve, and I actually look into someone's, it's like looking into their eyes, even though I may not see them, and thinking about who they are in a particular situation. And I was having a call with, actually it was a Zoom call a couple of days ago, and I don't think no, I'm not going to mention names. I'll pretend it's someone named David. And I was trying to explain something to me, and then he said to me, You know, I don't get things quickly. I'm dyslexic and I need to hear things 3 times sometimes before I really get it. But once I get it, I really get it. And I said to him, and I said, you know what? I'm not dyslexic, but sometimes I need somebody to explain things to me 5 times because I just don't get it the first time around, especially if it has to do with numbers. And I said that, and all of a sudden he said, oh, that's great. So now we can talk. Because I recognized I would not have said that if I hadn't met it. I mean, I wouldn't have said that. It has to be something that's just like you said, people will find you out. And now that I'm thinking back about that, about our conversation that day, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't be so effervescent because I truly meant that when I said that to you. And I'm thinking now, oh my gosh, maybe I better tone it down because when I like someone, I just have a tendency to tell them, to put it out there. I don't hold back when I really like someone. If I don't like someone, then I've got a rule. And I'll go back to this story because it's really true and everybody could learn from this. I was walking when my son was really little, and there were 3 of us walking our babies. And my friend Myra's daughter, Allison, looked just like my son, Michael. I mean, they could have been twins and they were so cute together. And there was a 3rd child in the middle. And no one would know who she is anyway. So Arlene's child was not exactly attractive and not exactly cute. So my mother comes by and says, she looks in the carriages and she's like oohing and eyeing over Michael and Allison. And she looked at Arlene's baby and she went, oh. She didn't say another word. And so when you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. And that's something that has always stayed with me. So people know that when I'm very quiet, that there's something off. Like if someone says, well, should I take a class with so-and-so? And I go, I don't know. But if someone says, well, should I join Tammy? I heard she's a real authority. I go, oh yeah, definitely. She is an authority. So if I believe in something, I'm going to say it. And if not, so people get to know you. If you put yourself out there as who you are, people will get to know you very quickly.
That's interesting because as you were talking, I could hear my mother telling me, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And so, you know, you are raised with, I call it the golden rule, and my mother was very clear on a lot of different things. But I think you're really right about that, is that, again, you are always the first to say, like, for example, with me, you're always giving me accolades, and you have supported me in my business also. You've come to my classes, you've come to my trainings. And when I invited you to this interview, for example, you said, I'm there. And so that made me feel, I guess, validated. And I think you've got that gift. And I think that that's important when people are asking about connections and being likable, because I think you said it, when you are authentic, and like you said, and I wanted to tell you, no, don't tone yourself down from if you really like somebody, because I remember that probably on that day made my day, and because I am an introvert. And what it means is I go out there and it's very hard for me because people drain me. And so that probably energized me to keep on going, to meet more people that day. And then of course, so you never know what that your excitement about me or someone else and making that connection, I think is so important. And I think, again, here we are on Live in the Hive in the Be Connected community, a platform that is actually designed to connect people. And the reason why I'm here, and you said it too, if you don't believe in something, you might not say anything. But I mean, I've been out there talking about, you know, be found, be seen, be heard. And of course, mine was just BE, not BEE. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that Be Connected actually had the same philosophy as what I have been telling all my clients about what they need to do to become authorities out in the world and to be, you know, the know, like, trust factor, which is, you know, a very common term in the internet marketing world. But you also said something, I mean, I know that you've got the Kids Better World, you've got the jet netting connection. Now you're very active with Be Connected, and you've always talked about supporting others and giving people credit where credit is due. How important is that in not only connecting, but maintaining that likability connection factor?
You know, it's important to take credit for what you do. If you're working with a team, give your team credit. Don't take credit when it belongs to someone else. Let your own likability factor goes up when you actually recognize what someone else has done and you let others know it. You raise that person. My friend Tanya, who I met actually a little before Jacqueline, and I met her on a Zoom call. I love Zoom. I mean, for me, who I never thought I would get on the internet and do anything, because, you know, I taught a program called How to Turn Business Cards into Business, and this is all in person. And I looked at Tanya, I don't think it's been a year, but I looked at her and she had this beautiful face. She's got bright red hair and she just has this gorgeous smile. And there was something about her, just like Jacqueline, that I didn't know what it was. And she's shy and she doesn't always take credit, but we were just on a call and she explained something with such clarity and she was so amazing that I just oozed over it. She didn't want to accept credit because she kept saying the person who wrote the book was the one who got the credit. But okay, so that person got the credit, but she was the one that made it clear. And so after I started oozing all over her because she's fabulous, then everybody else chimed in. So I truly believe that giving credit is really important. And when people don't give credit, I get really ticked. I remember at a seminar once, there was someone who stood on stage and he was using all these stories and they all belonged to Les Brown. And he never said that they were Les Brown stories. And I went up to him after I said, how can you do that? You know, you're speaking to people, you're supposed to have integrity, and those are Les Brown stories. He said, they're out in the public. And speakers have to have signature stories, and it doesn't make any difference. So I always say, err on the realm of credibility and integrity. Never take credit for something that someone else has done. Always give credit, even though it may lessen what you do, because that's really important. That credit thing, some people will work for credit and not for money. And there are too many of us that have done that, because I've been guilty of that too.
Well, that's true. Well, since we're here on the Be Connected live in the Hive, you can tell that I get excited.
I love you when you do that.
I you know, those facial expressions, live in the Hive, it just makes me want to buzz. I literally, in 2019, went to Alaska and I found out what it was like to be in the now, and I was chasing bumblebees. And so every time I think of Live in the Hive, I see myself chasing this bumblebee as it was going from flower to flower, and it was all full of the pollen. But I was so in the now that my companions were all laughing at me because they're like, there goes Tammy. But I was connected in the now, and I think that's so important. So one of the things about Be Connected that I think is very interesting is they have a feature where you connect with people and then you meet them and then they do these reviews. And the interesting thing that I thought was, like, if you give somebody a 1-star review, you're basically saying that they're like a dud and
Yes.
and evil. And if you give them a 5-star review, they are a superstar. But there's a secret to giving reviews or testimonials. Do you have any tips on how to talk about somebody in glowing terms that is authentic and real?
Well, first of all, anybody who's here, if they're not a member, they should be a member and they should go look at the review I wrote for you. It's stating what's true. And now that I think about it, I better go back and redo something on yours, because it's like giving someone some information that they might glean from that person. So why you're an authority, why you do X, Y, and Z. So maybe what you've learned from someone, because just to say someone is amazing, we all kind of do that amazing stuff. I do it too, but it's really getting something concrete that people will say, oh, I do want to reach out to that person. They've got great tips. They've got this, they've got that, and make it specific. Because the more specific you can make it, the more someone who's looking for someone like that, they'll go and they will connect with them. And no one ever wants to get a 1-star review because, you could be asked to leave. No, they don't want spam.
Right, and that is another thing. No spam, no trolls. All the people there are vetted in a way because they have to be invited in. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that I really found useful was to fill out the profile.
Yes.
Completely, because then you have a really beautiful profile. It has your photo and you can even include videos, and you can really do a lot of promotions about yourself, even in the free membership. And I think that's important. I actually had somebody the other day ask me, they said, I didn't know that Be Connected had a free membership. And I know they had heard about Be Connected back when it very, very first started in 2020. And I said, well, I don't know. I do know that they have a free membership, and the free membership even gives you access to the high-level webinar system for $12.99 a month. And to me, boom, why not get something that wonderful for free? And then be able to put yourself out in front of, I don't know if now how many, I'd say thousands of people are already in the platform. And then you can make those connections to your ideal potential client or customer or friend. Again, sometimes our connections, we don't need to do business with people in terms of making money, but we certainly can all make connections with like-minded people. So we have about 2 minutes left in our half an hour, because I'm going to be the task master. And before I let you go, just to let everybody know, Werner Berger is my guest tomorrow. And of course, if you don't know Werner, you want to show up tomorrow because he is an expert on not only climbing the highest mountains, but helping you climb your highest mountains for leadership. So that's tomorrow. In the last few seconds, Heshie, any last words to complete your interview with me and your expert profile today?
Well, I'd certainly like to keep in touch with people. So for anyone who wants to reach out to me, just Heshie Segal at jetnettingconnection.com. And for anyone who does reach out to me and requests my tips, I have a tip sheet, which I will start sending out over the weekend on being likable. Because if you're not likable, you are not going to stay in business.
Well, I think from what I know, and the beautiful thing about this platform we're using, it made a transcript.
Oh, right.
Also have a transcript of our entire conversation. So everyone, again, we have been talking with expert Heshie Segal, and you can get that free likability factor information from her. And again, tune in tomorrow. We'll be talking with Werner Berger. This is Dr. Reverend Tammy Patzer. And I guess I'll just say, come, and if you'd like to be one of my guests, just connect with me at Be Connected, and I'll invite you onto the show. It is daily, 11 a.m. Central Time for half an hour, Monday through Friday. Again, this is Tammy Patzer. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Bye-bye.